Hi Leela, how are you? Leela Roni, are you there? Ranita?
Yes, sir. I'm audible.
Yeah, you are audible.
Okay.
You didn't go to that extracurricular activity.
No, it's done. I came just now.
What's happening there? Some kabaddi, some.
Kabaddi, yeah. My bus is 5:40, so I came early.
I mean, it's for Republic Day programs.
Yeah, maybe.
Why? Maybe you are part of that.
Yeah,
AM.
yesterday we attended, sir. We didn't feel that much interesting. So,
But why you haven't shared your CV with CV?
yeah, I think I have to share. I should edit a bit. So.
You need to update it.
Yes, yes. We will share, sir.
Even Leela also hasn't shared. We'll we'll wait for another 4 minutes and then we'll start. Before that,
Sir, tomorrow you'll be giving for IBSC students, you'll be giving MDSAP assignment or not? Because schedule it is assignment for tomorrow.
yeah, I'll give it.
Okay. But the complete classes are not done, right? 2 days, one explanation is not done.
Yeah,
So
but
tomorrow
we'll,
you'll be thinking that
yeah,
which is
that mostly we'll discuss on the publication.
okay.
Okay, one part and second part will also discuss on this app, very specific.
Okay.
Hi, sir. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm searching for you.
I'm here only, sir, but network issues. And I will also share my CV soon, sir. Same thing, I'm doing editing and all.
Yeah, please do it.
And you have shared that LinkedIn profile, right? Till now, I didn't create my LinkedIn profile. I don't have it. So I have to create.
No, that's very important. Like, if you want to connect on LinkedIn with, I mean, there will be a lot of guys, people, but you need to be very selective when you're on LinkedIn.
Okay.
I mean, you need to select those professionals who are in your sphere, in your
Mm-hmm.
domain, and also some groups where you get a lot of information.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sir.
Okay, see, like if I have something which I found new, then I'll post it to you on LinkedIn instead of on getting it on WhatsApp and all that. So I can directly post you or somebody of in my group, like Pranita will be in my group or you or a lot of people will be there in my group. So I can post them directly.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, okay.
Actually, I have one AI agent. I mean, I worked on one AI agent which will update lot of things like emails or connecting to groups. It will automatically by default it will post. Okay, it's so autonomous. Like once I give a command for next 1 month, whatever new comes, it will post to other groups. I won't do all this stuff. But I got one agent which I prepared with help of one data scientist. It does a lot of this work. It updates me about the standards, uh, new regulations, new publications that have come, which are relevant to me. Not all publications. Some I see, some I mean, I sometimes we may not find so much time. Like, so what we'll do is let's other join. Before others join, what I'll do is like I'll share some 8 MCQs with you, with both of you. Once others join, I want to tell, I mean, convey them to also because uh, there are few things which I want to take very seriously because I said maybe Pranita knows, like I have moved from salvation. I little bit moved away from few responsibilities like looking all that administrative work, all that stuff, HR work, administrative work, paying this GST, bank works. Uh, so now I'm totally involved in what I love, the real thing, working on medical devices, pharma, on quality, regulatory, also on innovation and research. I have some which I'm applying for direct projects. I had collaboration with few colleges in Hyderabad. Maybe Pravati knows it. I have collaboration with St. Paul's College. I have collaboration with NIPER Hyderabad. And my company has also collaboration with one uh, which earlier was where I used to give a lot of guest lectures. Uh, it's in Idilawad, and near to Bodapur. So I'm working on a lot of research projects to get funds. So I'm back to guiding PhD students. Okay, I stopped guiding PhD students because I have guideship in 3 universities, JNTU, Krishna, and in Osmania. So I'm more interested in guiding students for their PhDs and applying more projects on AAML linked projects, mainly in the healthcare sector. And I'm involving more in training, consulting, consultancy, regulatory works. So let's see how 2026 will go. But I mean, I'm very bored of this. I mean, HR work, this administrative bank works, all the filling GST, filling. That's not. I gave all that responsibilities to some others. So that's why I was spending more time. And I told to Pranita also, and that's the reason I'm spending a lot of time taking classes for IBS. Maybe later I'll publish a lot of books for IBSC, and I'll have collaborative projects with IBSC. Uh, things to do, working on projects, uh, like more on predicative analysis. Like we have developed one where it can predict cardiac risk in Indian patients. Okay, anybody can check it out. We want to democratize it. We want to make it into an app. So anybody gives their parameters, there will be 10, 15 parameters. Once you give the parameters, anybody, young guys, even Pranita, Leela, you can give your parameter. It will predict, okay, in future whether you'll have a chance of cardiac risk, cardiovascular problems. It could be anyone, any cardiovascular problem. Well, it could be arrhythmias, it could be heart failure or congestive heart failure, myocardial infarction. It is based on, we already trained it, we have tested it, validated it, tested it, okay, on few people, almost like 100 people we have tested it. But the accuracy of the prediction is at 86%. So 86% it may come right. There's 14% chances it may go wrong. So that project we want to democratize it, not we want to sell it to somebody or hospital. We want to make it into an app and anybody can use it, mainly the rural population. Okay. And the importance of it is like, if you look at Indian scenario, compared to West and others, we have a lot of risk factors. Of course, other companies also develop this, okay, prediction of cardiovascular risk. But their population is different. Okay, their ethnicity is different. Their what you call genetic variations are different. Idiosyncrasy is different. Indian population are very different. Though we have a mix of population, like South we call it as more Dravidians, North more Aryans. Okay, if you go to West, East, you have more Mongolians. We have a mix of population. So we have considered that all these variables. And if you look at the Indian scenario patients, okay, Indians compared to other world, Indians get heart attack 10 years much earlier than what other world population gets, which means that we Indians are prone to heart attacks much younger than what other people will get in other countries. Okay, so diagnosis is very, very important, early diagnosis. And second thing is almost 36% of Indians are obese. There's a lot of obesity in India. 36% people are obese. So obesity is one which basically contributes cardiovascular risks. And 24% of Indians are hypertensive. Okay, 26% of Indians are diabetic. Okay, it may have, I think this is last 4 years back statistics when I was doing the project. And most of this, as you know, is genetically linked. So you have more chances if your parents or if your forefathers have this gene, okay, that is carrying to you. Of course, diabetes also is genetically linked. Hypertension. There are a lot of genetically linked diseases. So there will be a lot of variables like in Indian women, the bone density will be much less than compared to the much less compared to that of the Westerners or what we call Caucasians or blacks or whites. So bone density is one because bone density basically decreases during the pregnancy, that too during third trimester. A lot of variables, smoking, alcoholics, sedentary lifestyle. Okay, some clinical parameters also we pick up. Mainly we are trying to work on the chromosome of the gene allies, genes that are responsible for the cardiac risk. Okay, we have some link with CCMB who are putting working on this. So I'm planning to do a lot of work research, and if I get fund, I can allocate that project to for a PhD student, something like that.
So then it is a novel device.
What is it?
Is it a novel device? Like,
Yeah, absolutely novel, and more importantly for the Indian population, more adaptive or more what we call reliable for Indian population. The data will be more reliable for Indian population. Okay, I think we'll go ahead. So meantime, what I'll do before I got some messages like people are still coming from their office. I think I know who will be joining, who won't be joining. Just check out this MCQs in MDSAP and see whether you can answer them or you can answer them. If you can't answer them, also no issue. You can learn. So I'll be sharing these MCQs, some 7 or 8 of them on MDSAP. So you please answer them in chat. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just try to answer them. First read it. These are very basic, simple things. So that later we can move into some important things on country specific regulations.
Now we need to answer, or you will share these documents to us, and how
No,
it is.
you can answer in chat, chat.
Okay.
If it is wrong, also no issue. Okay. I'm not trying to evaluate stuff on this paper because some these are very logical questions.
Sir, it is very difficult to now answer because the screen is very small when I'm reading. So when I'm going typing that chat box, that screen will be um, visible very small.
Okay, just go through it.
Or I have done.
Yeah. Okay. I will go ahead.
Done, sir.
Aman, would you like to attempt this?
Hello. Sir,
Yeah,
I
would
have
you like?
just
Yeah,
joined. Is it the MCQ we need to solve?
yeah. If you like to attempt this, do it fast.
Okay, sir.
Okay, Aman, shall I move forward?
Yes, sir.
Done. Yeah, fifth one is not visible to you. Like I have zoomed it.
Yes, sir. Fifth one was not visible.
Yeah, but I'll tell you the answer. It is, MDSAP has 7 chapters.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So what we do today is like we have discussed there will be some chapters, 7 chapters, and I also told two are very important, which are very country specific, like on adverse events advisory notices, and the other is on marketing authorization and facility registration. So these two are very unique, which really don't come in 13485 or not discussed enough in 13485. Apart from that, we have other 5 chapters like management, measurement analysis and improvement, okay, or design and development, production and service control, then purchasing. These 5 are very common. Or mostly you see them in 13485, and also because we had almost like 10 days gap when I taught all this or when I discussed all this, because in between, I think I told to Leela or somebody that it's it's not a medical emergency for me. It's a medical emergency for one of my friend who lives in US. Okay, his parents they stay in Hyderabad. So while they're going, I mean that guy was here for Sankranti and Pongal because they'll have winter holidays. He came here and he left. I mean, the next day or next couple of days, I met him. I met their parents. We had a very good time. And he left to US with his family and his parents. When they're going to some relatives' house, they met with an accident, and both of them had severe injuries. They had a car accident. Both of them had severe injuries, but his father was very serious. Like it's like 50-50 chances whether you survive or not. But God save, I mean, God bless. He was okay. A lot of what happened is, uh, good thing is they had this, they bought the seat, they had the seat belt. I mean, it was a worse accident, like the car, uh, I mean, it's like tripled the road, turned 3 times. Okay. Again, the good thing is that they have airbag. I mean, his father has airbag. Okay. And they were unattended for almost 2 hours because they were traveling the night. Nobody has seen them because it has gone out of the road. But no spinal, I mean, no head injuries because there is airbag. There are some spinal injuries. The worst thing is one rib was broken for his father and it punctured the lung. Okay, that broken rib punctured, entered into the lung and punctured the lung. But all was fine, it was said. And his mother also has accident, but few fractures, but not so serious, not nothing vital, all vital organs are fine. We thought, I mean, everything was going well, and on the second, or I think on the second day, I mean, his mother has heart attack. So it's very serious MI. We call STEMI, like serious heart attack, and then she already has few stents in the heart, and in that same area where the stents were implanted, again there was clotting of the blood, and doctor suggested bypass surgery. She underwent bypass. She's fine. And in whole of these communications, I asked that guy, my friend, his name is Naveen. He's my school friend, like he's my school friend, college friend, and university friend. We both studied together. But he came back and okay, they are fine. He's taking control of them. That's what happened. Many thought that I was serious or something happened. I was perfectly good. Except that I have STT quite often I have STT because of too much traveling and stress. So what we'll do is, okay, I told like the two chapters are entirely different. The rest we can discuss. The two chapters I will exclusively, and I'll share all the information, the QSPs. There are some 7, 8 QSPs for those chapters. The two chapters on adverse events. Okay, advisory notices 1, chapter 4. Chapter 2 is on uh, marketing authorization and facility registration. So all these 5 QSPs, I'll share it with you directly. So 2 chapters we'll discuss. After discussion, I'll share it. So you will be very conversant with those 2 chapters. But the rest of the chapters, I said we have seen them in ISO 13485. Okay, mainly the management and MAI, that's measurement analysis and improvement, detailedly discussed in ISO 13485. Okay, a separate clause. Okay, clause 5 and clause 8, management in clause 5 and this in clause 8. But I also told to you like clause 7, okay, in ISO, which is a very big clause, includes the main operations, the main activities in the QMS, the design and development. You have production activities, production and service control, infrastructure, management of infrastructure, all that stuff. Okay, and also purchasing. In ISO, that was there in clause 7. But here in MDSAP, what happened is that clause 7 in ISO is separated individually and they made them as chapters. Okay, that is design and development, chapter 5. Chapter 6 is production and service control. Chapter 7 is purchasing. So they gave a lot of importance to chapter 7, clause 7 in from ISO. So they divided it and made them as separate chapters in MDSAT. Okay, and of course, management responsibilities are quite important. Then you have MEI, measurement analysis and improvement, which is of course, if you tell me all the clause, I think I told you the other day, if you tell me all the clause in ISO 13485, I particularly like clause 8 because it gives you a lot of what you say, the exact behavior or outcomes of the QMS. All outcomes of the QMS you will find in clause 8. Okay, by reading clause 8, you can almost 80% you can understand how the system is working in that particular organization. Okay, of course, management, some I care, some I don't care what the management is given till they pay our salaries. The rest is left to them. So what we'll be doing today is we'll try to understand country specific QMS one, and what is their emphasis compared, what they are emphasizing compared to ISO. In the sense, what is the more important thing which they want it to be there in ISO. As I said, ISO is the foundation wherein we need to build the country specific regulations on the ISO. ISO remains as the base document. In that base document, we'll be adding all the country specific regulations of the 5 countries, maybe after a year, 8 countries. Okay. Like USFDA will add, of course, I said like Europe is not there. Europe has separate ISO, that is EN ISO 1348. So here we will be adding all countries specific which are not there in ISO 13485. If they are in ISO 13485, their regulations will keep it as it is. Because we already have the ISO 13485 structure documentation. Okay, as I repeat, some QS, of course, we'll be preparing all QSPs. Generally in ISO, we don't prepare QSPs. After quality manual, we directly jump to SOPs, STPs, work instructions, then to records and reports. There we have only 3 level of documentation. Okay, in MDSEP, we have the other level, that is level 2, what we call quality system procedures, QSPs. Level 1 is quality manual, scope, objectives, vision statement, all that. Okay, level 1. Level 2 here in MDSEP is QSPs, quality system procedures. Okay, level 3 is the SOPs, work instructions, STP, standard test procedures. Okay, and other things, protocols. And level 4 is your reports, QC reports, or any test reports, some data records or some data, QC data, all this stuff comes at the bottom. Okay, if you consider the pyramid of these levels of documentation you see in MDSAL, of course, all levels are very, very important. It depends upon which level you are interested. I find level 4 very interesting because it contains a lot of reports, data where you can work on that. Level 1 is a high level document. It quality manual, it totally gives the summary of your organization activities, like the scope, objectives, what's your company policy. Okay, level 2 is still little bit elaborated on your quality system procedures. Level 3 is much more elaborated. Okay, it gives a lot of procedures in a particular process. Okay, in a particular process, like in sterilization, you may have 10 or 12. In purchasing, you may have a lot of SOPs. Some test procedures. In production, you may have, I think, 30 or 40 SOPs. Okay, but I think I told you, like, it's not always good. Your PMS is not counted or credited based on number of SOPs or number of documents you have. Okay, it is credited based on how compliant you are, how you implement those SOPs. Okay, so we look at this, what these country specific SOPs are talking, sorry, QMS are talking, and what they are emphasizing different from ISO, and what are their QMS standards. Because this is very important when you have an MDSAP auditor, when you are structuring your QMS, this global QMS of MDSAP, you need to understand, use the language of their standards. Okay. So if you see here, This is a general statement. MDSAP is a not standalone document because it is having the foundation of 13485. Okay, the foundation or the backbone is the 13485. Without 13485, you can't have MDSAP. So it is 13485 plus country specific regulatory requirements. So that's what I said. Once you have 1348 documentation, we keep on adding the each country requirements or regulatory requirements. Right, ISO 134 tells you how to build a QMS. Okay, regulators tell you what must additional be controlled in MDSAP. So let's quickly move into the country specific. Okay, we'll first look at the big one, the United States. So United States, I think I told to you, like most of the countries are accepted earlier. Most of the countries before EU MDR came, even the Europe accepted ISO 13485 as the global the standard for QMS, except US. Okay, I mean that's the problem with US. They want to be different. They want to do something new. They are big power. They want to do something important. Okay. So they except US, everybody was agreeing with the 13485 QMS standard. Okay. Only Europe. But after EU MDR came, Europe also started that we want to have a separate 13485 and we call it as EN 13485, but it is not so much different from 13485. I think like something 20 or 25 SOPs, additional SOPs has to be added to ISO 13485 to be compliant with Europe or to be compliant with EU MDR or to get EN ISO 13485 certification. Some SOPs has to be updated. Some new SOPs has to come in. If somebody wants EN, how to work on EN ISO, I can provide all the list of documents that has to be added to 13485. Okay. Even if you want them as SOPs, I have all the formats and ready-made ones where I can share it, but you need to restructure and trim it based on your organization's requirements. Okay, I think there are roughly around 25 documents which are basically on UDAMID, UDIDI, these responsibilities or obligations of all these economic partners from importer, distributor, notified body, manufacturer, authorized representative, responsibilities of PPRC, sorry, PRC is person responsible regulatory PRRC. Lot of changes in PMS, you need to create a new PSU or PSU are not there earlier. But all these documents come under quality management system. These are not regulatory documents. They are come under QMS only. So you need to work on this. Of course, I can tell you all this 25, but that's not our objective here. Somewhere in classification changed. I need to tell you there is some relaxation on EMD or regulations that is going to happen. Okay, but I think I don't call it a big relaxation, but on very certain important things, mainly on new devices. Okay, some relaxation on PMS, some relaxation that have been provided on the classification, some change in timelines for legacy devices, which are basically implantable legacy devices, which already have the CE marking under MDD, the old regulations. Okay, we should not divert to that, but I have the problem of diverting. Come to me so instinctively that I can't avoid it. I do this from my college days. I get diverted very fast. So here 21 CFR 820 is the quality management system, QMS and US FDA. But they call it as quality system regulation, not quality management system. I'll tell you later why they called it as QSR, quality system regulations. Okay, apart from this is 21 CFR 820. I already shared in our WhatsApp group. Apart from this, as I told in chapter 2 and chapter 4, which are very specific. Okay, you will have this 21 CFR 803 and 806 and few others like 821, sorry, 828. But these are linked to adverse event reporting, advisory notice, marketing authorization. So all this, but the basic QMS is the 21 CFR 820. Okay, that's a quality management system. You know, CFR is Code of Federal Regulations. You can get it anywhere. If you go to USFDA site, you can download it. It's freely available. But the important thing, what I want to make you understand, you guys, okay, is actually I want to take this subject for an hour. Let's see whether we'll have time tomorrow, because there are a lot of questions posed in MDSAP. Because now 21 CFR 820, the QSR of US is going to align maybe in a week or 10 days on 2nd of February. It is going to align with the ISO 13485. Okay. So it country specific regulations, we are going to align them with 13485. So there is, though you may not fall in MDSAP. Okay, you may not have MDSAP certification, but still with 13485, once you align this USFDA 21 CFR 820, okay, it obviously becomes that you have, certified for USFDA facility registration. Okay, like how we do for ENISO. For ENISO, as I said just now, what we are doing, we are adding some additional requirements that are there in UMDR. Basically, they are regulatory requirements. Okay, but in ISO, they come as quality requirements, like the PMS or the traceability for UDI, adverse event reporting through UDAMID, all these actors or economic operators, they come under the QMS or PPR, PRRC, they come under QMS only. So like that, in 21, in US, so once US on February 7 combines with the 13485, okay, Without having MDSAP certification, still you with 13485 you can register your facility. Okay, and your facility is authorized, okay, to be inspected by FDA, and you will, once you have the your devices marketing authorization through 510K certification or PMA, you can sell them. So there won't be any special audit by the US FDA team. Okay, like the FDA audits won't be there. Earlier, there used to be FDA audits for the devices which you are selling in US. I'm telling the facility audits, manufacturing facility audit. Okay. Now, because it is combined aligned with 13485, it will be a common audit. Okay, one single audit that will help you if you have ENISO 13485. It caters to Europe. Then once after February, if you align this FDA, okay, US FDA with 13485, it caters to US. Okay. But the point you need to remember is there are other countries which still need to align with 13485. So MDSAP still exists because I said another 3 countries will be added to MDSAP. I'll tell you the reason why. See, since last 50 or 60 years of medical device history, US FDA was standing alone with their QMS. What made them today? Okay, I'm not trying to work as a CBI or investigator. What made them today to come and embrace 13485? Can anybody tell why in 2026 they want to embrace, okay, 13485? Why haven't they done since last 40 years? 40 years their QMS is different. You find any logic why they have why they want to do it now? Anybody can answer this? No, there's nothing right or wrong. Like you can, it's basically, even if I tell it's my opinion only. Okay, it's more
So,
opinion.
as per my understanding, one ISO 13485 is a structure format, sir. Step one, they will follow stepwise process. Maybe before 40 years, they are not following stepwise process. It is not giving proper alignment.
Yeah, I agree with your opinion. Yeah, every time it was structured. Uh, but if you look into the logic of this, see, since most of the countries are adopting 13485, and even if you look at ENISO also, they are very close to 13485. They are not very distant. Just you need, uh, I think I need to close my WhatsApp. Okay. What I'm telling, yeah. Yeah, even ENISO is very close. It's not so different. Just a 5% difference. They're asking some extra things, okay, on what the UMDR is saying. But if you look at 21 CFR 820, it's a total different structure. The architecture is different, the structure is different, the clause are so different. Okay, the system is called as QSR, not QMS. So what's happening is, of late they realize, like, okay, though they have come into MDSAP, many companies are not going for MDSAP certification initially. Of late, many companies are going for MDSAP, okay, because there are two reasons why many are going for MDSA. One is now it is a global regulatory compliance people are looking, not country specific. Okay, we want to have global regulatory compliance. Why every country should have one regulation? Patient safety should be same everywhere. Every patient should have the same safety. Why a US patient should have additional safety than an Indian patient? Okay, the quality or the safety of the devices should be the same. Gone are the days where you need to have so much disparity of between the patients. Okay, when it comes to quality and safety of devices or in general the healthcare system. But in this era, I mean, everybody wants the best. Even the manufacturers, all manufacturers, even the Indian manufacturers, I can assure you, are producing the best medical devices, good quality, following all the standards. Okay, whether it's ISO standards, risk management, IEC standards, or any standard, they are strictly adhering and manufacturing devices as good as any European or US company. So what happened is because of the transition wherein the QMS, I mean, everybody is adopting ISO 13485, all countries, the US was alone. So if you want to market in US, earlier, I mean, before even MDSAP came in, they used to have separate FDA audits. Okay, like in pharma, this has a very high impact. Separate FDA audits other than 13485. So what makes this the organizations in lot of countries difficult is having additional audit for separate audit for one US FDA and complying with their QSR. Okay, and getting approved because QSR is a bit or much stricter than ISO 13485. They raise red flags everywhere, they give warning letters. Okay, recently I've seen there are a lot of warning letters given to US FDA plants in India. Okay, if you have 2-3 warning letters, you need to close the plant. Of course, I mean, I don't know whether it really speaks of such a strict standards to have patients' safety and performance, or it just to boost that US FDA are the highest benchmark standards. But on the contrary, companies are got vexed with this having a separate QMS or separate QSR for marketing their products in US. Okay, they need to face a lot of audits and the failure of audits are very high. Okay, and the continuation of the QMS is not sure. Whether in the recertification you may fail and once you fail, you may lose the US market. So there is a lot of uncertainty with the US markets. Though you may got the regulatory approvals on 510K certifications, you may got the certifications of your devices, but the facility as such also has to be certified. Okay, your regulatory documentation may be good, but your QMS documentation is failing for facility registration with US, then your market entry will be a problem. So a lot of things are happening. A lot of companies are not able to meet the QSR and their market entry into US was falling down. Okay, their revenues, company revenues are falling down because there is no entry into the US market because they are not, facility is not certified. So what US thought is that this is becoming a big headache for their economy, mainly the medical devices economy. US is a big market for medical devices. Mainly in India, US is a big market. Earlier, of late, we are doing a lot of things indigenously. But if you look at medical equipment, more advanced medical devices, high tech or high-end technology devices, medical equipment or medical diagnostics, like this MRIs, CT scans, and a lot of other things we used to import. Even medical equipment, manufacturing equipment also, till today we are importing manufacturing equipment. But there are a few companies working on that, like Shahjahan was doing. All manufacturing equipment or testing equipment, QC equipment, which is still import from either US or from Germany or from Japan, okay, or from UK. So this is becoming cumbersome. They thought like since our market, medical device market is coming down because of these, okay, regulations or because of this, they thought why not we align with 13485 and make it easy for the manufacturers to get their facility registered so that lot of companies, okay, at a very, I mean, reasonable cost or price can export their devices, okay, into US. That is the main reason why they thought that we also has to embrace the world, embrace 13485. Okay, if we are standalone, nobody is scaring us. And of course, a lot of companies, I know most of the companies, they felt very absurd, stupid with the US regulations and they start diversifying their markets to other countries. I think I discussed this with Aman some time back. Looking at Asia, looking at Latin American countries, looking at Gulf countries, looking at Eurasia. Why only US? Okay, I mean, I discussed with couple of auditors why this has happened, why now they are merging with 13485. And I also have the same opinion because their market device business is coming, I mean, medical device business is coming down because of the regulations, because of their PSR, facility registration. So hence, they given a lot of relaxation in their QSR. Okay, we'll discuss what are the relaxations they gave in QSR to align with 13485. But I feel it is good they have relaxed it. But mind you, the regulatory intent is the same. Though they have relaxed the QMS or QSR, still when you submit the regulatory files for certification, like in pre-marketing notification for 510Ks or pre-MA, pre-marketing approvals, okay, for with clinical data for implants, okay, that regulations have not changed. Only the QMS or 21 CFR have been relaxed, changed. Okay, they came down 2 steps down to align, to combine with 13485, which is a global standard. On the contrary, MDSAP is still there because MDSAP will be there, though US may join 1348, it may not join or it may join, that is fine. See, if you do MDSAP with the US regulations, still it is fine. Okay, when you're doing documentation, getting certification of MDSAP with US and other 4 countries, so total 5 countries, still your facility is registered. Or you have an option of separately doing it because they have aligned with 13485. So that's one option which is much easier. Okay. So once you have 13485 certification, which means that you also have satisfied the regulations of US. So the other option you have is through MDSAP. Through MDSAP, it's not only US, you have a lot of other countries, other 4 countries where you have market interests, or if the other another 3 countries are adding. Okay, see the big markets are there, like Brazil is a big market, US is a big market. Okay, Canada, once you cater to US, Canada becomes very easy. But the tough markets are Japan and Australia. Okay, they have market entry is not difficult, but you need to have an authorized representative. I tell you why it is difficult to enter Australia and Japan. But once you have this South Korea, okay, Singapore, Switzerland, and maybe Malaysia, these are standing members, what we call standing members are observers. They observe what's happening with MDSAP. Okay, there are a lot of observer countries which in next 1 year they will also become part. Like you have in the European Union or in a lot of other like United Nations platforms or G7 countries. You have observers who are not part of that group, but they keep observing what's happening with them. India is the observer of G7. We are not a part of G7. Only all high, big advanced countries are there in G7. Okay, but I think this year or next year we should be part of G7 because we are the third largest economy. Of course, fourth, but this year we are going to be the third largest, overtaking even Germany. Okay, US comes first, then China, then Germany. We are in fourth, overtaking Japan. But after some time, because now the EU trade deal is done, it will be done on Republic Day. European trade deal. Once the trade deal is done, we'll have something like a trade of $2 trillion. So if the trade goes okay and the US deal still it's pending, if that goes fine, I think we soon will be moved to be the third largest economy in the world, which is really great. I could see that in lifetime it will be in top two. Well, that's not the criteria here because I'm talking of US. I go to the current affairs. That's what I said. Though it is aligned with 13485, but the regulatory intent remains the same, like how you see in UMDR. Okay, in UMDR also aligned with 13485 with some uh, special clause or special additions. Okay, that's what we say in Annexure 3. Okay, it's technical documentation with QMS. So I already told you there are 24 or 25 special SOPs that has to be added and monitored. Like that, even for the FDA also, we need to add those. We'll see what are those that has to be added to 13485 and make your organization, okay, maybe in February ready for MDs or once you have ISO 13485 audit, you should be able to add this US FDA regulations or US FDA standards to your 13485 so that you become an registered facility of 13485, ISO 13485, and also catering to US market that we call it as QMSR, Quality Management System Regulation. Earlier it is called as QSR. Okay, QSR, Quality System Regulation. Now they are going to add M to it. It becomes Quality Management System Regulations aligned with 13485. Okay. But the regulatory protocols, regulations we need to follow are the same. Like what we are doing for UMDR. But I'll tell you separately, like what are the extra things which you need to do for this activity. So you can take it up yourself. Okay, I'll share a lot of information on that. If you want, I can share the formats, how to align your 13485 ISO with the US FDA, QMS or Quality Management System Regulation, so that you will be highlighted in your organization that this guy has done this. Because many people don't know how to do this because it's not yet come. On February 2nd, it is going to be in the public domain. Okay, the key expectations, this is very important. I think I told you why chapter 1 is the management in MDSAP. Why chapter 1 is management, why they have made chapter 1 as management, but in ISO clauses it came in clause 5. Why they
Because
give so
every
much?
every class is linked with management responsibilities.
That's good. And second thing, yeah, Rulmati, it's nice, like in middle you creep in. I forgot that you are not there. I thought of sending a message to you. I know
I
it's
joined a bit late, sir, because I
yeah,
sent my son to school.
yeah, you it's 8:30 or 9 o'clock morning there, I know.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, the other thing is like why management in MDSAP, unlike ISO, MDSAP, the management has to take total legal responsibility. It is legally bound. Okay, what you mean by legal entity or legally bound? If anything happens to the patient or to the employee or to anything that happens to the infrastructure, okay, basically I'm talking infrastructure anywhere management will take care. Okay, employee, they give some insurance policies, all that stuff, but any accident that kills or that hurts the employees, injures the employees. But here it's more legally liable even for the patient. Okay, if the patient has some, because of the device, there is any morbidity or mortality. Okay. Of course, of late in India, we don't see, of late in West, most of the medical devices have insurance. Okay, based on the cost of it or the level of risks they are carrying. Suppose if there are implants, implants have an insurance up to 3 lakhs. If the implant, I mean, the use of implant because they are high risk. Okay, while using the implant, if something goes wrong, the patient can claim insurance. Or if he has to undergo another surgery because of the device, okay, the company will pay it. If the person is dead, and if we exaggerate the situation, the management has to go to the court. Okay, he is legally bound, he is legally liable, he is the executive responsible. Executive is more a different thing in US. Executive is more on administration side. But in as I come down into other countries, see, the management is the one which should have total knowledge, not on just the administration. They should have knowledge on the QMS, they should have knowledge on the regulations. They should also have knowledge on the updates, what is happening in the regulations or in the quality. They should also have knowledge on the PMS, their complaints, reports, how they are addressing, not just in the business, how many you are selling or how much you are paying. Okay, this is what basically I've seen some managements. I don't know, like, because I worked with those managements who are all doctors or technocrats or engineers who have lot of knowledge on medical devices. Okay, the management has a lot of knowledge on medical devices. There are some who rely on this employees or rely on the staff for their QARA, rely more or give total accountability to them, not only responsibility. And they just look at the checks and balances. I'll look at the accounts. But MDSAP has a different every management. That's why I said, like, in the audit, the first person who will be audited, okay, the first person who will be audited in MDSAP is the management. By talking to the management, they will understand what is the status of QMS of that particular organization. Okay, you will score 50% of the marks in just in first day only, in first half day only. They will understand how is your QMS by speaking to the management. Because see, in 13485, management discussions are just very simple. Just a corridor walk or something like a secret discussion. You know what I mean? Secret discussion means those who are smart can understand. It is one-to-one discussion with the management, or it's just a casual discussion of how your business is going, how is your health. Would you like to see some sites in Ahmedabad or in Noida or in Ahmedabad or in Bangalore? We take you further. It's very casual discussion we'll have with the administration. Never a question on the total QMS or how the system is working. But MDSAP is totally different. I was leading two organizations so for MDSAP audit, and for two, I was a consultant, two companies. It's like a half day, almost 3 hours discussion or 3 or 4 hours discussion with the management. It's not so easy to face an MDSAP mainly for the management. For us, it is easy. Okay, because we understand quality and we understand regulations. For management, it's very tough. That's why many management don't want to go for MDSAP. That could be one of the reasons. Okay, but I'm telling you, first audit, you won't be screwed so much. But second and third audits, it will be very difficult. First audit just will give you an opportunity chance to improve your system to the level of MDSAP. Because I said that even though earlier in 23 or 24, even now I think so, there are few auditors who are good in MDSAP or auditing MDSAP units because they are not trained, they don't know much of the regulations, they don't know the auditing procedure and the grading system. Okay, like how it happened with EU MDR 2017 when the new regulations came in India, basically in India and a lot of in other countries. Most regulators or most auditors are not aware of the new regulations, so they have to be trained. That's why it took so much time for UMDR to be in place. Because if the auditors don't know anything how to audit and what to look in, how to approve this, how come we employees can address it? So, though you say it's UMDR 2017, we are now in 2026. Still, some devices are exempted from EU MDR. You know that still the new changes that are coming in, still some of the devices are exempted from the EU MDR CE certification till 2027. Okay. Mainly the implantables are new devices that have come in. Implantable, but they should have the old CE certification, that is certification as per MDD. So think of it, it took almost like 7 years, I think it's more than 9 years for the new regulations to be implemented. Okay. Even some SMEs still find so much of struggle in getting on. One is the regulations are very, very, very elaborate, lot of regulations, okay, a lot of documentation, and I mean, it's big nuisance to touch MDR. Then there is a lot of money you need to spend on that. Okay, the cost has gone risen 3-4 times higher than what it was earlier. Okay, you need to pay so much of cost to this economic part, authorized representative, you need to pay. See, just for class 3 or class 2 device, you need to spend 20 to 25 lakhs. Okay, with half of that, you can register in a lot of other countries where you'll have better market. Or with half of that, you can get 5-10K. Okay, that's why, and it is a time-taking process. For class 3 device to get CE certified, you need to wait for a year, more than a year. Okay, and there are few notified bodies. Okay, yeah. So management becomes very key for almost all the countries in the MDSAP. Okay, and this is the one I've when I face the MDSAP audit, this is the one which bothers a lot of things on design and development and the design controls. If you have an R&D in your if design and development is there in your scope, okay, they will grill you on total DHF, design history file, from design planning, inputs, outputs. Okay, total 1 day is dedicated for chapter 5, design and development, total full day. And they only check the design history file. Because design history file talks of everything from your design planning, inputs, outputs, verification, validation, design reviews, changes, till design transfers and the technical specification. So all A to Z will be there in DHF. Everything will be visible. Then they cross check. Okay, I said it's always MDSAP is such a process, it will be linked to other process. They will cross check whether our raw material which we have transferred to production is the same raw material specification, technical specification, what we transferred to the production of same during the design transfer. If they are different, why it has been changed in production. Okay, you need to give a lot of justification. So design and development is such you enjoy working on innovation and research, but when it comes to audits, a lot of things are unexplainable. You can't explain some of the things. Okay, Arulmati knows this because he was in R&D when I am with Cell Bios, our former company, and I am the consultant for that. So R&D is such a difficult thing. You enjoy working, doing a lot of device experiment, design of experiments, coming with a lot of things. But I know like it's not earlier now with AI/ML, a lot of things change, 3D printing, digital validations, all that. It's more become in silico, what we call in silico system, even in design and development. But this is the one I'm telling you guys, if you have on this app and your scope as design and development, you are screwed like whole day, like how they have interrogated this Redford Blast guy, what is his name? With this guy, what is that university? The doctors who exploded that Redford uh, suicide bomber. Okay, and kappa effectiveness. Of course, kappa effectiveness is important in 13485 also, but this comes in, it comes in 820 only, dot 100. So kappa effectiveness. But for me, if since I have prepared all this documentation, what looks so important, though I gave 5 points, this is the one which they take it very seriously. Design development, design controls, DHF. Management somehow has to survive that half-day audit. Okay, but I think night they should have a very great party to relax from that audit if they are not strong. Kappa is effectiveness. Complaint handling is okay. As I said, no, complaint handling is very different. Even not for US, for all 5 countries, the complaint handling reporting system, what I call it as chapter 4. Adverse events reporting or complaint handling or advisory notices. That is chapter 4 is entirely different for all the 5 countries. Wherein MDSAP doesn't talk much, sorry, ISO 13485 doesn't talk much on this. Okay, they give one paragraph and very open-ended. That's a problem with 13485 is it doesn't categorically say anything. Okay, it won't be crystal clear on any of them. They will say you can do this, you can do that. You have an option. I mean, it's so uh, generic, open-ended. You have options to do a lot of things, but in the country specific, they have very cut-off timelines, cut-off dates. Like if it's a serious adverse event, if you are not reporting within 15 days, you are legally liable because you have not reported this, you have not recalled it, and there is another patient dying because of you, because you are not following the regulations or compliance. There will be more deaths seen. This happened in Europe. Okay, I told you why UMDR 2017 came. Because of this, they didn't have the traceability, like from which country it is coming to Europe, which company is manufacturing this. Often they found that there are breast implants or orthopedic implants which are causing so much morbidity and some cases they are causing death. How to stop it? How to recall them? There is no single point or what we call is a single strategic point where they can identify these devices coming from which country or what is the batch of it or what is the manufacturing organization. Because in Europe there are a lot of countries, okay, which common, there are like 60-70 countries in European Union, but those who adopt UMDR 2017 is are somewhere around 28-29. Even UK has separate MHRA. Okay, they have different regulations, but there are 28-29 countries which adopt. So in so many countries, you have a lot of countries importing their devices into Europe because it is a big market, and the prices what they get from other markets into Europe are reasonable. So most of them buy the imported products, not the FDA product. US FDA devices or US devices are very costly. So even Europe buys a lot of medical devices from India or some other countries like Japan or Indonesia. Or actually, we are doing pretty good medical devices in Europe. So the point is, when you don't have traceability and all these issues, this will become cumbersome. That is the reason you need to be careful on your complaint handling and MDR reporting. This is not only for US, for all other countries where they will be very strict, not like what we are doing in India. We never report any adverse event in India, okay, to the regulatory body. How many companies or how many uh, hospitals are reporting adverse events? You can count on fingers. But this has to be made very strict, and many people don't know where to report, which site to report. At least you try to know which site in Cisco you need to report an adverse event so that it won't happen to others. It could be stopped for a while, or you'll have a recall or give an advisory notice that this is happening with the device. You find this very much in US and Western countries because they have the habit of reporting. The hospitals do very actively. Okay, may not be the manufacturers. Oh, they do it very voluntarily. That's why in Mode, if you type what are the adverse events, you will have regular updates. Okay, Mode is the website for reporting system in US or in now Europe has adopted the same called Udemy. India recently opened it. It's what is it called?
Material vigilance.
It's called Metro Vigilance. So in Metro Vigilance, you need to report it through a database, open the site, report that this is happening. There should not be an incident that happens where because of our negligence it kills a lot of people just by not reporting to it. I was telling to some class today or someday the history of cough syrup that happened 1 month back or 2 months back, I think in December, where it killed kids, 40 or 45 kids in Bihar and Madhya Pradesh, should not be repeated again. What we are learning from the past. Okay, history teaches a lot of things, but still we are so adamant and we hard and rigid that we really don't care for the patients or for the population. This is too bad. Okay, but here once you come to MDSAP, but the point is India is not in MDSAP. Okay. I don't know when it will come in MDSAP. But once you enter MDSAP, this becomes crucial because all the countries you see, US, Canada, Australia, Japan, okay, are countries which have very strict norms, even not on medical leave. You take any general provisions or norms in these countries, they are much better than in India. So that's why they are in MDSAP. Not may not be in Brazil. Brazil is something like our country only. Okay, purchase and supply controls. Okay, supplier controls they have. I'll tell you what they need. There were 1 point extra they ask on supplier control when mainly during the supplier audits. Okay, product process verification, all are same. These two are very different. Design controls are different. See, in EUMDR also, it doesn't ask much on DHF. Or design and development. It is just 3-page document. You can have 4-page document. You can close design and development even for Europe. Okay, for yes, it has to be. I mean, like it will bunch of files. Okay, bunch of sections of them. Very tedious because I worked. I was part of this for one company in Ahmedabad, responsible for this chapter 5. Okay. And these are enforced driven, all are enforced and driven. Okay, they look at the inspection history. This is a problem, and most even ISO look at your past records, past audits, like past 3 audits, what are the NCs you had? Is there reputation of NCs? Okay. And if there are continuous repetition of the same NCs with MDSAP, I'm telling you, I'll tell you later. These NCs here are very different. There will be a grading system, not a classification system. Okay, like major, minor, observation, or observation is OFY, opportunity for improvement. Here they have a grading system. They escalate it from 1, it may go to 2, 2 may go to 4, 4 may go to 5. In the same process, okay, if they find any NC, they will link it to other processes and it escalates. And if there is a reoccurrence of the same NC, okay, in the next audit, I'm sorry, you may not get MDSAP certification. Okay, if it touches grading 5, and there are 2 grading 5 NCs, you are out of MDSAP. Okay, you can have some NCs of 1, 2, 3. I'll tell you like which have direct impact, indirect impact, reoccurrence. Okay, all this stuff. So you need to be very careful. And this is one on data integrity and traceability is critical. Actually, I gave one webinar on this. What is data? I was talking more on predictive analysis and data integrity. What you mean by data integrity? Can somebody tell me what is data integrity? Or is just some Oxford dictionary word? What is data integrity? See, data integrity talks of two things.
Data integrity. Okay. Shall
Yeah,
I?
yeah, yeah, you go ahead.
So
Come on.
basically, data integrity means the data we collect. Example, after marketing and sales, we collect all the reviews from the end users. Okay, is the product is good, everything, and that data we have to keep it for our records. Okay,
Yeah.
and that should not be, used publicly or show it in publicly. So it should have a proper way, like securing it with all the what we say, having a secure folder for that segment, and then it should not get leaked publicly. Simple meaning, sir.
Yeah, I agree with you. That is, you are exactly right or 100% right. When you talk of data integrity, that is linked to clinical data. Okay, it
Correct.
has to be secure, what we call patient health information, PHI. Okay, it has to be very confidentially. You should have total integrity preserved with cyber security, all that. It also means data integrity is you need to integrate a lot of data. Okay, whatever data you come from your different activities. Okay, you need to measure it, analyze it, and look at what patterns of data you are having. Okay, you need to study the data because, as I said, all the data helps you in improvement of your QMS process. Okay, whatever data, once you get the data, you need to analyze the data and see how this data helps you in further improvement or continual improvement. What ISO talks of or MSAP talks of continual improvement. There should be some improvement in your QMS, not in status quo or freezed. No QMS should be freeze, however good it is. It has to be a dynamic QMS. And also a lot of data that comes, okay, should act as a feedback to your QMS, like your complaint has to be a feedback to your PMS. Your copper should be a feedback, your customer feedback should be a feedback, customer feedback reports should give some inputs to your QMS. So data, as Aman said, there is different sets of data. One set of data is very confidential. Either you can publish it or you have to preserve it if it is confidential. What we call PHI. Okay, and there is some data where you need to integrate the data to overall improve the health of your QMS. And there is some data which has to be looped back or it will come back as an input to others, like your PMS complaints, all this stuff comes as as an input to your risk management. To find some risks, okay, the severity is high, occurrence is high, or new risks are identified. Okay, it comes as an input to your risk management. It comes as an input to your PMCF for the clinicals. So there should be a patterns. You need to study the data, how it is looking in your patterns, your QC data, whether it is having any patterns. Okay, and you need to integrate all of them, infer, analyze, infer from the data. Okay, because I know I really understand the importance of data. Okay, it's so important that it worth dollars. Any data. Okay. So when we come to Health Canada, I said one of the closest, even much closer than even EU MDR or Europe to 13485 is Health Canada. So Arulmati, you should not worry much about her things are in Canada. Okay, but the important thing in Canada is the regulations there are, they are mandatory law. It's not optional, you have to follow it or you can relax something. You have uh, follow A or B, or you have some options to skip it. Like we have we actually look at how more than following the regulations or more than following the rules. Okay, we instinctively in India have the option of, or we think a lot how to break the rules. Okay, then following the rules. We are so intelligent, instead of following the rules, we think or we spend a lot of our brain in understanding how to break the rules. But in Canada, this is such a mandatory law. Okay, like how the criminal laws are there. Okay, though it comes to 13485, why I'm saying this, Health Canada, okay, in Health Canada, it has an ordinance. I mean, what they call it as, remember this when I go through, in FDA, I said in US FDA 21 CFR 820. In Canada, they call it as Medical Device Regulations S4R, okay, 98 to 282. It is called Statutory Orders and Regulations. Okay, this comes as a law, okay, from the Parliament of Canada. It's not like the act or the law becomes act, like how in India we have, once it goes to Rajya Sabha, it becomes an act. So here it passes through the Parliament. It is called Statutory Orders and Regulations. If you don't remember, you can call them as S4. Okay, when you speak in this language, I say S4 of Canada, which means you have understood or you are consistent with the language of MDSAP. When you talk of FDA, tell it's 21 CFR 820. You have to use that language many times. People appreciate it, and people have this thinking that you are so good in that. So you may not be so good in all that, but some words you need to use technically. This is what I told you, and in AIML also. You need to speak that language of AIML, speak the language of 13485, speak the language of MDSAP. Okay, which is pursued, some falsely pursued, some truly pursued, that you are a master or expert in MDSAP. So when you say SOR, it's fine. If you still say SOR 98 to 288 talks about, 82 talks about the QMS of Health Canada. Okay. And if you still tell the abbreviation of it, it's statutory orders and regulations. That's good. But remember this medical device regulations S4 98 to 282. This is the standard which I already shared with you. If you want me to share it again. But this lies so close, though there is some differences, the differences are very, very important. Okay. There could be 5% difference between 13485. Mainly you see, again I'm repeating, you see these differences mainly in chapter 2 and chapter 4. Every country has these differences in chapter 2 and chapter 4. Okay. What is chapter 2? What is chapter 2? Pranita, what is chapter 2? Chapter 2 essay is adverse event reporting and advisory notices. Sorry, chapter 2 is device marketing authorization and facility registration. Chapter 4 is adverse event reporting and advisory notices. So this is an exception in chapter 2, chapter 3. These are very, very important in Health Canada. It's not like in any other country. If you are not reporting adverse events in Canada, that will be it will go into a criminal act. Okay, the person or the management responsible, or basically they won't act on the management, they act on the sponsor or the representative of your organization in that country. He has to face the legal consequence. Yeah. It's a mandatory certification. Any country has this. Okay. Again, complaint handling system has to be very strong, as I told. Again, this is on reporting. Okay, medical device reporting. Yeah, mandatory problem reporting. Here we call them as management representative authority. Please note this, in different areas, different, all these 5 countries, we call our representative there with different names. Okay. Either you can call management representative authority. The most common, I mean, in the common language, we call them as license holder. So in Canada, you'll have a license holder. In US, it's called generally US representative. Like in Europe, what you call European authorized representative, UAR. In US also you call it as US authorized representative. Okay, but in Canada you call him as license holder, wherein the company gives, okay, the company or the organization gives total responsibilities to the license holder to sell our products in Health Canada, and he is liable for anything that goes wrong. So he has to abide with the Health Canada regulations there. I said mainly on couple of points on complaint handling, reporting. This is very key in any medical device ecosystem. Adverse event reporting. Okay. You call them as license owner. Remember S4, they are also very strict in some of the things. Okay, there's more emphasis on PMS, vigilance, regulatory reporting timelines. As I said, every country has different timelines on reporting, whether it's serious adverse event, or just an event, or just an complaint. Okay, I'll tell you what is the difference between serious adverse event and adverse event, just an event. So all of these 3 or 4 will have some timelines. Before the timelines, you need to report this to the regulatory body of that country. Whether do it through on the database or you directly write to them or submit, better you, the most commonly used, I'll give you these sites also, links of the databases, how you need to report. Okay, I'll give the hard copies and of what it is asking, what are the points you need to report in that, what are the timelines for them. If it is a serious adverse event, okay, you need to report it within a day. If it is just an event or some injury not causing so much morbidity or mortality, you will have time up to 15 days. Okay, some countries do time up to 30 days. Why 15-30 days is so that you can find the root cause analysis and COPPA for this. Why 1 day for serious adverse events? Because you have to recall them. Serious adverse events are that causes mortality and is a public threat. Okay, it kills people in masses, like an epidemic. Okay, like how it happened with the cough syrup. So there will be a lot of people not only have morbidity or injuries, pain, suffering, it may lead to mortality. So you have only one day, and that one day is to trace your devices in which countries they are, in which hospital they are, and to give an advisory notice not to use them. Okay, if it is an event, you will have time. So it depends upon countries. Some countries give 1 week, some give 30 days, some give 15 days. I will give you all the timelines. As I again say, it is a legal requirement to follow Health Canada or ISO 13485 with Health Canada requirement. It's a legal requirement, not a voluntary standard. It's not that I'm doing it voluntarily. Okay. Okay, Australia is called Therapeutic Goods Administration, TGA Australia. You need to remember TGA. This is the regulatory authority. Okay. Therapeutic Goods of Australia, where it provides the QMS. This also aligns with 13485. It aligns with 9001. Okay, the principles on general QMS procedures. Okay, but you need to remember this. Here it is linked to conformity assessment procedures. Means these are linked to the regulatory procedures of the particular country. Because you see in Europe also when you do EU MDR file, you find conformity assessment. Conformity assessment is that you need to tell all the standards, okay, which you have followed or used in testing of the device. Yeah, let me go this way. First, you need to mention what are all your technical specifications of the device and what are your test parameters. Okay, what are the specifications? And when you have tested it, what are the test parameters or results that you have for that batch? Okay. Then what are the standards you followed for testing them? It's not like you follow whatever you test, like whatever you want to do. It's not like you follow, I say I'll follow European pharmacopoeia, or it's easy for me to follow Indian pharmacopoeia, or I say it's easy for me to follow ISO, some standard, or some IEC standard. No, you need to follow a specific standard as stated by the Australian regulations or TGA, Therapeutic Goods Administration of Australia. They'll set some standards for you, tell some standards. You need to test the devices as per their standards and as per their specifications. Okay, this is what we call conformity assessment. What are your technical specifications? What are the test reports and what is the standards you have followed? Has to be aligned properly, and then only you can sell the device in Australia. That's what I'm saying. It linked to a lot of regulator stand. Okay. The regulation is called as what we call S4 there, or 21 CFR 820 GSR in USFDA. Here it is called as Therapeutic Goods Regulations 2020. There are some amendments made, though it came in 2020, there are a lot of amendments that happened. They didn't change it totally in the form of the year, but Therapeutic Goods Administration 2020 year, amendments came in. But this is very strict in a lot of aspects, I said, mainly on the conformity assessment. Okay, here we call sponsor. Okay, in Health Canada, I said we call it as, in Health Canada, what you call the authorized representative is called as
License
license.
holder.
Yeah, here you call him as a sponsor. Okay. We will appoint some sponsors to be a representative there in Australia. Okay, manufacturer sponsor responsibility. But more than manufacturer, The sponsor has to address a lot of things because he's sitting there in Australia, whether it's on Melbourne Beach or Sydney Beach. Okay. He has to take the responsibility because he is representing the organization or the manufacturer. Okay, like in what you see in Health Canada, PMS vigilance is very important. Manufacturing consistency. Okay, evidence-based conformity assessment. Here we have seen conformity assessment procedures where they will have it. Here it is more. Just wait a minute. Okay, he has to take responsibility. It is evidence-based conformity assessment. What is evidence-based? Okay, we call it as conformity assessment procedures. You have a test specifications, test reports, and what are the standards by using which standards you are doing the test. Here it is evidence-based means more clinical data they ask. Okay. What's happening in Australia? They don't want all your standards and all these stupid things. I don't want your test reports or something COS. I want evidence that your device has performed so well. You show me your clinical reports. Show me your clinical publications. Show me in which hospitals this was done. What is the even case studies are also fine. We have done a meta-analysis, randomized studies. Okay, comparative studies with the best in the market or comparative studies with the global innovator. Show me that data. Have you done PMS? Have you done PMCO? It talks more about evidence, clinical evidence. Okay. See, I said Canada was talking. Here we call it as a license holder. Okay. Here it was talking on conformity assessment procedures where the QMS is. Okay. But when it comes to the clinical uses or real marketing use, it wants evidence. Who has to produce the evidence? The sponsor has to produce the evidence in Australia, wherein the license holder has to produce that in Canada. But basically, I told no complaint handling, adverse event reporting, all this are very, very strict in all the 5 countries what we have in MDSAP. Okay, their timelines, how you categorize them, how you are reporting them. Okay, post-marketing obligations, what data you are collecting of, it's more a PMS obligations like. Okay, but in Australia, they give so much of important to the conformity assessment procedure and clinical evidence. Though it is not included here, but I know like in Australia, they give a lot of importance to the microbiological parameters, more like your sterility. Okay, SAL, sterility assurance levels, how you have done sterilization validation. What is your endotoxin levels? What is the bioburden before and after sterilization? Okay. They also look into your clean room validations. This I have experienced it during the audit. They are very much focused on the microbiological issues. And to also tell you, if your organization has a microbiology lab, it will be under audit for almost half a day. Generally for ISO, they'll ask some few reports, sterility, that this burden. But here they'll ask everything. If there is a false negative, or if the sterilization failed, or the media is how you have prepared the media, or what you call media growth promotion test have you done in the media? Is the media promoting the growth of organism, or is the media totally dead? The media is totally dead, not promoting any organism, still your device will pass the sterility test, though it has some microorganisms or it has a bioburden, because that media is not conducive for growth of organisms. So you need to conduct a lot of tests, growth promotion, turbidity, turbimetry, okay, and there will be some tests like you have to identify which organism. Okay, if your device is unsterile or if your clean room is unsterile, you have some bioburden, some microorganism. What we call characterization of the microbes also has to be done. You have to tell what is a microorganism. Why they ask is whether it is a contagious one, whether it spreads to others, or it's just a static one, it doesn't spread. If it spreads also, okay, the antigenicity of it is not so much like the COVID virus or coronavirus, which has such a high antigenicity and spreads. Like even in our clean rooms also, we do this health checkups, but we limit up to a certain level that, okay, this fellow has some infection. But we don't go in depth of the infection, like what infection it is, what is a microorganism, characterization of the microorganism, and whether it is resistant to the antibiotics. Of late, microbial resistance has become a big issue. Even our PMOD has talked about this. When PMOD talks, everything becomes very big, high, very important. I know of microbial resistance since last 15-20 years when I'm doing my undergraduate. Nobody cared about it. I told many people that irrational use of antibiotics will cause antibiotic resistance. If you take those medicines later, antibiotics later, your disease won't be cured. All these antibiotics will become irrelevant for the next generation or even for this generation. Mainly, it's important for children and kids because they are exposed to a lot of resistant organisms, antibiotic resistant organisms. Though you give antibiotics, see, of late ampicillin doesn't work, amoxicillin doesn't work, a lot of penicillins are out. Okay. Some macrolide antibiotics like erythromycin doesn't work. Of late, we need to switch to higher antibiotic like sporfloxacin or norfloxacin. Uh, Actually, we are moving much into what you call uh, it is called as, forgot the name. There is one category of antibiotics, cephalosporins, higher grade of cephalosporins. Because as we switch on to more higher grade of antibiotics, okay, it will parallelly have equal toxicity. Okay, though it has same therapeutic performance, it has very good, as good the therapeutic performance is, it will have the same toxicity. That's why you see the antibiotics, newer and newer antibiotics coming up, because the organisms, I can tell you 10 organisms which are on my fingers which are resistant to a lot of antibiotics that are available. And the worst case scenario in our countries, antibiotics are sold over the counter without prescription. Unlike the Western countries, they never give antibiotics without prescription. Actually, in India, you can get anything without prescription. Even I can get thousands of sleeping pills without prescription. Okay, after that they became bit strict. But the point is like, I go to one shop, I ask 10 strips of alprazolam or some diazepam. He says, I can't give you 10, I can give you one. Okay, then I'll go to next. There will be 100 shops in my gully. Okay, each shop will give me one strip. I'll get 100 strips. And I can commit suicide with 100 strips. Okay. I mean, you should not give even one strip also. I mean, that is so irrational that's happening. Let's not shift it. But this, I mean, because they have taken this microbial context, because I had this discussion with that auditor when he was doing this MDSAP audit. I asked why you guys, why these Australian guys are very strict on this microbial contamination or microorganisms on the devices. Because he explained me for almost 1 hour saying, I think you know what are nosocomial infections. Those who are from biology background, you know what are nosocomial infections? The nosocomial infections are the infections which spread in hospitals. Okay, you may go so healthy into an hospital. Okay, or even a patient may not have any infection. He goes to the hospital, gets admitted for a different issue. But after 2-3 days, he gets infected with some organism, some dreadful fungus or bacteria or virus. Because these organisms are so prevalent in the hospitals. So the infections that spreads in the hospitals are called nosocomial infections. And these Australians have faced these nosocomial infections a lot in the hospitals. And they are very much worried about antibiotic resistance towards microorganisms. Okay, they don't want to go to higher antibiotics for a small infant who is 6-7 years old, sorry, 6-7 months old. You are giving so many antibiotics. Most of drugs are, these medicines are all poisons. Okay, but why we consider still taking them? We are taking them at low dose, but still they cause some side effects. And if you take them repeatedly, they cause more side effects. I'm telling you, no drug in the world is safe. Though it depends upon the margin of safety. You have to look at what is the margin of safety, what we call therapeutic index of the drug. Okay, but all drugs are poisons, all drugs, medicines have some toxicity. So the Australians, you can remember this when you are doing MDSA, why Australians have so much concern or so much, why they are so much afraid of the microorganism because of antibiotic resistance of the microorganism and nosocomial infection. Okay. Yeah, Brazil is something like our country, as I said, similar standard of living, similar way of living, like how we do. They have this RDC. It is basically called Anvisa. I don't it's in Portuguese language. I don't know how to spell it. I call it Anvisa or RDC. Okay, that PMS regulation. With this, I'll close it. Okay, because you joined late. It's not my problem. You joined half an hour late, except Leela and Pranita. That's why maybe from next class I'll have it at 7 o'clock, 7 to 9. It is called RDC. Okay, 665. You can remember RDC fine. 665 2022. Australia was in 2002. This is in 2022, replacing RDC. Okay, when I have done MDSAP, I followed this 2030. RDC 2030. Now it is changed or amended to RDC 665 2022. Okay, the full form of RDC, this is a Portuguese language. I try to remember this, but if you want to try, you can. Okay, it is resolution of the collegiate board. You know, collegiate is a group of members who decide on a particular, it's like more a consensus or veto, like majority of them agree, resolution of the collegiate board. They frame these rules. Okay, RDC, you can call NVISA also. NVISA is basically used more in regulatory context. Okay. Actually, Brazil is one very good country for, it has very large markets like India. If you look at, I mean, you don't know how you follow politics. We call them as BRICS. Okay, BRICS nations is Brazil, India, China, Russia, or India, and South Africa. Okay, these are BRICS nations, 5 countries which have a lot of markets. Aman, you can follow this because we discussed the other day on the marketing strategy. You follow these BRICS. Okay, go through and with Brazil, India, of course, we have a lot of consumption. We are very self-sufficient. Okay, actually, we consume 60% of whatever we produce, whether it's food or chart or something. In because we have huge population, whatever we produce, we consume 60%. That's why our GDP is quite stable. Okay, and we export 40%. Even in medical devices also, we use 60% whatever we manufacture. Okay, we export 20-30%. It varies between domains and sectors, but it is roughly like this 60-40 or 70-30. We Indians consume, we have large market. That's why compared to other countries, our inflation or GDP or per capita income or per capita is low because of huge population, but it won't be disturbed so much. Unlike China and US, the China consume only 30% what they produce. Because that is the manufacturing, what you call manufacturing engine of the world is China. They manufacture so much. Okay. Whatever they manufacture, the whole China population, which is almost equal to us. Of course, we have surpassed China in population, but they consume only 30% of what they produce. 70% they have to export. So for them, there will be a lot of problem if exports are stopped. Same case with United States. Okay, their consumption is less than 20% or 30% what they produce, and they depend a lot on exports. But for India, that is good. We have good demographics, good democracy, good consumption. Okay. Be happy that you are born. Of course, India has some bottlenecks, loopholes, all that corruption, X, Y, Z. But still, so this RDC is fine. Yeah, I said NVISA is something which is linked to the regulatory. So as I said to Aman, you target these BRICS countries, South Africa, India, China, Russia, South Africa. You'll have a great market even for medical devices. But compared to Europe and these NATO countries, Europe and US. Okay, here also it talks of, I mean, without saying this, I can tell you they talk a lot on, okay. Yes, legal accountability is there everywhere. Okay, management responsibility or what you call legal accountability, supplier qualification rigor, traceability. Okay, anywhere you'll find, any country you'll find is complaint handling and this stuff, reporting adverse event, complaint handling, all this stuff. Okay, but based on my audit experience, what I tell you is Brazil thinks a lot on risk, how you are managing risk. And sometimes they ask you, because I didn't have interaction with Brazilians, but have interaction with auditors. They tell you that you have to bring risk to zero, which is the most impossible statement I have ever heard in any medical devices. How can you bring risk to zero? Any material, anything will have some risk. Okay, actually they are trying to change as I know what as per ISO 14971 what we call you need to bring risk as low as possible. Okay, as low as possible is also an open-end question. How much low? As possible. How much is possible? Okay. But Europe, EMDR came with another statement about the risk. It said like you have to bring down risk as low as reasonably possible. These are two contradictory statements, one from ISO 14971, one from EMDR 2017-745. One says as low as possible, one says as low as reasonably possible. But both are open-ended. How low? What possible means? But Europe has answered it very, on this question, Europe has answered reasonably possible means you have to use all your economic resources or whatever money it costs. If you want to modify, redesign, test, you want to test 100 times, you are still bringing the risk by 10% or at least 1% after spending, say, millions of dollars. Still, it is good. Okay. What they mean, Europe means or UMDR means is as reasonably low as possible. Don't link your risk with your economics or the financials. If I bring down the risk by 1%, I have to spend another $1,000 million. So I want to keep the risk here only. Okay. If I spend some another 1,000 million, if I can bring down risk by 10%, what they mean to say is if you are able to bring down your risk by 10% by spending another $100 million, please do it. Okay, don't link it with your finances or economics. Why I need to so much of money to bring down risk? Okay, because I need to work on some redesign the prototype or work on new designs or work on new materials. Okay, lot of experimentation, then go for the clinicals or clinical validations. So there will be lot of experimentation that has to go on where I need to spend a lot of money. But I stick to where I am because my predicate will have the risk and I will also have the same risk. He is having 10% risk, I am having 10% risk. Risks are same. Technical equivalence, biological equivalence, clinical equivalence, fine. But that's not good. Like it should not always be equivalent. It should be much, looking at the future, because of the advancements in technologies, okay, you can work a lot on trying to bring down the risk, not really working on looking at the economics of the financials. Okay. Reasonable as low as possible, reasonably low as possible, not looking at that. Okay. That is what Brazil wants. And this is also I had discussion with auditor. He said that it thinks like Europe. It wants to bring, it is more worried about the risk management and not, and the beautiful thing about Anvisa or RDC is like we also do it, but they are very strict. Risk management is applied throughout the life cycle of the device. Okay, from design you need to apply, from supplier raw material you apply risk management. Of course, so risk management files start from the raw materials till the clinicals PMS. You have to link up. So there should be lot of emphasis on risk on each and every activity that you are performing. Okay, from the design and development, manufacturing, assembling, components, sterilization, clinical PMS, all that stuff, you need to include the risk, and you need to mention what is the risk, what is the benefit, risk benefit ratio. Of course, end of the day, what is the common statement, what is the common state in risk benefit analysis? Okay, benefits outweigh the risk. Benefits are more than risk. But I dislike, I have a very strong word for that, but I don't like that sentence. Risk benefits are much more than risk, or benefits overtake the risk. Hence, this device can be safely used for a particular intended use. Is the common statement, and if you see any risk benefit analysis file or risk management or even the CEROs, clinical evaluation report, you find this. Of course, the statement is very general, which means that it still carries the risk, but the benefits are more, hence my device can be used. But the statement doesn't say that the device has all the benefits and performance that are required for the intended use without risk or zero risk or no risk. You show me one statement like that, which is not possible. So Brazil stress. So remember two things in Brazil. It talks about RDC, regulatory wise Anvisa. Okay, and every country talks about complaint handling, adverse event, advisory notices. Okay. Actually, there is one name for the representative in Brazil. I think I'm not given here. But they emphasize more on risk. I'll tell you next. Like there is name of one person, license holder, we call sponsor. There are different names. US we call authorized representative. Marketing authorized. Actually, in Japan we call it as in Japan you call this marketing authorized. Tell you later. So there is more responsibility on. I know, like it's marketing authorized. I don't know whether I type it wrong. So in Brazil also there is a different name for the person who is representing our organization. Okay. See, this language, all this is mandatory. You need to go into their local language, your IFUs, labels, all that stuff. Even in Europe also now, if they have 28 countries, they call them as states. There are 28 countries, they call as European state, but you need to print them mostly in French or in Portuguese. These are most commonly are in German language. Okay. Japan, it's as I said, Japan is also really close to 13485. It is called as Ministerial Ordinance, okay, 169. This is similar to Health Canada, which is very close to 13485. So I mean, it comes under PMDA. So when we say PMDA is Pharmaceutical and Medical Device Agency, like how we have this in India before. Okay, in India also medical devices were earlier were under pharmaceuticals. Okay, like the Drugs and Cosmetics Act, where Schedule M was actually we didn't have regulation for medical devices till 2013 or 14. 14 or 15, some draft framework came. In 15, they framed it. But still, yeah, we are lacking behind that. But Soon we are evolving. Okay, it comes under Pharmaceutical and Medical Device Agency under the Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare. Okay, but just we can remember PMDA Japan under this ordinance, Ministerial Ordinance 169. I shared this with you. It's very close, like Canada also, it's very close. Okay, and here I forgot what this has meant, but I'll tell you what is marketing authorized, something like so. They display post-marketing vigilance, all this stuff. Yeah, this is what I talked with someone. If there is a procedural deviation, it is considered as a failure. So you have to be. There's a problem with Japan. You know, Six Sigma came from Japan only from Toyota. Okay, you know what is Six Sigma? Oh, it's a principle that came from Toyota manufacturers or engineers. If there is small deviation, also they consider it as rejected. Okay, they don't like deviations. They don't give any tolerances. They don't like range. If it is 5.5, all devices has to come on 5.5 only. Okay, if it is 5.1 or 5.01, we call it rejected. So, but I'm not talking about that deviation. It is procedural deviation. Okay, not the technical specification deviation. But any procedural deviation in a process, you have a SOP, you are not following that the procedure, it is treated as this quality failure. Okay, it may not cause harm, but it is a quality failure. You will get an NC on this if you are not following the SOP. It is a procedural deviation. So you need to be careful. Of course, I mean, ISO doesn't think so much on giving NC if you are not following procedure. But if the SOPs are directly linked to the safety of the device or safety of the patient or linked to the risk of the device, it will come as an NC. But for ISO, we give as OFI or observation. But in MDSAP, it becomes an NC. NC in the sense I said, there's no major minor asset. Some grading will be given. If it has indirect impact, it will be grading 1. If it has direct impact on the device, safety and performance of the device, if that procedure, it will have grading 2. And in the same process, if there are another 1 process deviation, then 2 plus 1, it will become 3. If there is a reoccurrence, plus 1, 3 plus 1 will become 4. Okay, it keeps escalating in that process, and suddenly someday you'll find it is 5, and by the time you wake up, there will be 5 gradings, and your company is out of MDSAP certification. Okay, this is a comparison table which I'll share it. I'll share all these notes today, but tomorrow we'll discuss something very important on ISO, integrating the one is we'll study on integrating the 21 CFR 820 into ISO 13485. Okay, because I want you be the first people in your organization to discuss this matter with your QA or your management or start structuring it. Okay, or have a discussion. Start first person to start the discussion on this. How we are aligning, what are your plans? I'll tell you how you plan it. Second thing, before that, I'll be talking on NC grading and how you need to audit. What is the auditing system? Okay, we learned about internal audit, the auditing system, how we need to do for the internal audit. But here the auditing is bit different. I said one risk-based approach of auditing. There are also some other system on NC grading. And the second point is we will discuss on aligning the 21 CFR 820 into ISO 13485. Then we'll go with next week we'll go with the topic of very high gravity, of high importance. You see it everywhere. When you talk of that two words or talk of that one word, okay, your body really vibrates. That is risk management. Okay, that is risk. How you are going to manage the risk in medical devices and in the QMS. We'll discuss on that from next week. By tomorrow, we'll close MDSAP and half an hour or 1 hour discussion on this alignment because it's new thing that is happening. I said like I have the bad habit of telling everything what I know. Some say that it's very stupid that we should not discuss anything, but I'm not a competitor to anyone in sharing the knowledge. I love teaching and I love sharing the knowledge. It's okay. Whatever I know, I think I shared you one document, the changes that happened in PMS in 2025, mainly in UMD, that is MDCG document 2025 part 10. When you have time, go through that. When you find difficulty, ask me. I'll explain you what are the changes in PMS that came under UMD. Okay. See, I'm not saying sorry for taking this time because you came late. I took my time. You joined at 7, I completed at 9. That's 2 hours. That's fine. I will stop publishing for everything from today. Okay, guys, take care. Good night. Bye. I'll be sharing these documents today and the recording also. Not today, I'm a bit tired. Maybe tomorrow morning. Bye.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay. Bye, sir.
If any questions, Aman, Vaibhav left.
Actually, no, sir. More or less, it is slowly. I think I have to, work it out, read it once again, and then I'll be able to. If I have any queries, then definitely I'll connect with you, sir.
Yeah, you can post it on WhatsApp. Sometimes I reply very fast. Okay, within seconds I reply. Sometimes it may go slow, but surely I'll reply to all my mails and WhatsApp messages. I won't
Definitely.
leave any. I'll keep my slate clean.
Sure,
Fine,
sir.
take care. Bye.
Okay, sir. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye, sir.
Bye, Arulmati. Take care. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day, sir. Good night.
Yeah, good night for me.